I'm going to lose 10 kg in 90 days eating everyday Indian food, normal ghar ka khana. I'm going to be eating dal chawal and not just dal chawal, but things like rajma, chicken, paneer, soya, whatever we have in our Indian food. So I'm going to be eating that. I'm not going to be counting calories. I'm not going to be eating like chicken, boiled breast chicken, broccoli, boiled rice. I'm not going to be doing that. And I'm going to do this on a small Indian budget. In this video, I'm going to show my exact strategy, my exact diet strategy that I'm going to follow for the next 90 days to lose that 10 kg. Let's get started. So the only thing that you need to lose weight is calorie deficit. It means that you need to consume less calories than what your body needs to maintain your body weight. So you can follow any type of diet you want. You can drink nimbu pani, you can drink green tea, you can do yoga, all types of yoga, all types of thousands of ab crunches, whatever you do, you will not lose weight until you are in a calorie deficit, which means you're eating lesser food. Now, you don't need to follow any strict diets to do this. You don't need to be eating chicken breast and broccoli every day. You can be on a calorie deficit with an Indian diet, which is exactly what I'm going to be following. Now, in my case, my body needs around 1800 calories per day to maintain my weight. Now, I found this using a generic calorie counter, which you can find online. So that calorie calculator, actually, that calorie calculator will give you an approximation of how many calories you need based on your height, weight, and what exercise you are doing or not doing, what type of job. Is it like a sedentary job or are you moving around a lot? So based on all these factors, it will give you a number. For my case, it comes to around 1800 calories, which is a starting point. So it's not exact. So if I want to lose weight, I have to eat food less than 1800 calories. So I have to eat something like 1500 calories or below that. I'll be aiming for 1300 calories because I want to lose weight as fast as possible. So you don't want to go too low, but you also don't want to be like just lowering like 100 calories or 200, because that will increase the time where you are losing weight. Now, I have done this before in like 2017, around 9-10 years ago. I had lost 10 kg of weight. So my height is 5 feet 5 inches and I'm weighing around 66 kg. I was in a similar weight at that time, and I had lost my weight from 66 kgs to around 54, 55 kgs, and I had gotten in shape at that time. And I had done that exactly by using calorie deficit. So I was eating less food than what my body needed. But at that time, I was following a kind of a strict diet and I was able to achieve that. So that was done like few years back, and I am going to do the same now. But this time I'm not going to be doing calorie counting, which goes into the next point. So this time I'm not going to be counting calories. Earlier I had done this with one method, which I told you is calorie counting, where you actually track the calories you're eating throughout the day. So you can use any app like MyFitnessPal, and whatever food you're eating, if you're eating chicken, if you're eating paneer, if you're eating rice, and the quantity that you're eating, 100 grams, you enter into that and it will give you the approximate calories that you're consuming. So you track that for the entire day, and then that total should come less than your maintenance. So in my case, I need to maintain at 1800 calories. So I have to track my calories I'm eating for the day and it should be lesser. So if I'm aiming for 1500 calories, then whatever I eat throughout the day, the total calories I eat should be 1500 calories. Now this works and I have achieved weight loss with this earlier, like I mentioned. The problem with this is it can be quite time consuming. You have to track everything that you eat. And it's a problem with our Indian food because our Indian food is complicated, right? It's complex. There is a lot of ingredients involved, and tracking each of them and putting each of them in that counter is really time consuming. So last time I had done this, I had not followed an Indian diet. I had used kind of a simple diet, like a European diet, and that is much easier to track with calorie counting, and that works best for that. So this time I'm not going to be doing that. I'm not going to be counting calories. I'm just going to be eat regular Indian food. The difference is that I'm kind of following a intermittent fasting. So what I'll basically do is I'll have 2 meals a day. I'll have breakfast and I'll have lunch. So what this does is naturally it reduces the number of calories I'm eating. So I don't need to worry about tracking calories. The only thing I need to concern myself is the total food that I'm eating should be less than what my body needs. So it's much easier to do this when you're having just 1 or 2 meals a day. You can eat lot of food and still you will be below the maintenance calories for the day, especially when you're exercising. So this is a very good way of doing it, when you don't need to count calories and you can simplify your life and you can just go about your daily life, go to work and follow a regular diet, and you don't need to worry about counting calories and spending extra effort in that. Also, shout out to my mother. She was the one who really helped me the last time I had lost my weight with calorie counting, because she would help prepare a lot of the meals for me. I would give her instruction on these type of meals and this type of diet I'm following, and these are the ingredients, and this is every day I need to eat. And she was the one who helped me a lot. I would have not been able to do that without her help. Sadly, she passed away a few months back in December, and I remember every day she was a big part of getting me fit, and her memories, I'm sure, are going to help me do this again. Now, here's how I'm going to eat dal chawal and still lose weight. When I say dal chawal, I mean regular home cooked Indian food, which I'm going to cook myself. So, anything like dal chawal, rajma chawal, paneer, chicken, soya, whatever is there, I'm going to eat the regular Indian food. So, it's going to be any type of carb. It can be rice, potatoes, chapatis, bhakri, whatever is there, I can eat that. That's not a problem. The only thing is I'll be avoiding sugar, I'll be avoiding processed foods, and the fats that I'm using, I'll be using lesser. So when it comes to oil and ghee, I'll try to use little bit of it. I will use it because it is, we need to get fats and that's healthy, but I'll use a less quantity. I won't be eating fried foods, oily foods, no such things. There are exceptions which I'll talk about later, but overall, like 80-90% of the time, this is the diet that I'm going to be following to lose weight. The only thing, like I mentioned, is the portion control. Basically, the portion control will come because I'll be eating only 1 or 2 meals a day. Breakfast and lunch is what I planned now, and that's what I'll be eating. I'll be skipping dinner. So, eating Indian food, but one meal I'll not be eating. So let me know, have you tried to lose weight? Have you been like 10 kgs, 15, 20 kgs overweight? Have you tried to lose weight? Did you do it successfully or did you have problems? Did you follow an Indian diet or were you trying some European diet or Western diet? Let me know in the comments below. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the Indian diet problem. So when I talk about problem, it's that the Indian diet can be lower in protein. Now, if you are just wanting to lose weight, it's not a problem. You can follow an Indian diet, just a regular diet, and you can lose weight. The only important thing is to be in a calorie deficit, so you're eating lesser calories. That's the only thing you need. But my goal is not just to lose weight. My goal also is to be fit and healthy. And one part of being fit and healthy is to have sufficient muscle, because muscle is really good for your body. It helps you gain strength and it helps you be fit and strong. So that's also the plan. So I'll be exercising as part of that. So when I'm exercising, I need to have a high protein diet. So when I say high protein, it not doesn't have to be extra high or super high, but just average, which I'll talk about. The problem with Indian diets typically are high in carbs and lower in proteins, because proteins can be expensive. In India, if you go to buy protein and try to consume a high protein diet, it can get pretty expensive. That's why most often Indian meals are carb heavy. The problem is this diet kind of worked when you're working in the like a field where you needed a lot of carbs, a lot of energy. But for a person like me and many people who work in the offices and stuff, we don't need a carb heavy diet because we don't need that much energy. So we need rather a high protein diet, especially if you're exercising. So that's my plan, because I'm going to exercise, going to do strength training. My diet will be a high protein Indian diet. So when I'm losing weight, I want to keep as much of my muscle as possible and even gain muscle if possible. So that will be the plan. So these are again the rough numbers, but to gain muscle or to maintain muscle, I need around 1.6 gram per kg of body weight. That much protein is needed. That's the minimum. So that much you get is sufficient, more than sufficient to be able to maintain build muscle. So for me, I am 66 kilos, so it will be 1.6 into 66. So it comes to around 105 grams protein every day. So I need to consume minimum 105 grams protein every day, which is not a lot, but still it's more than what is there in an average Indian diet. So I need to work on how to get that protein every day. So the solution that I've come up with, I'll get around 40 grams of protein from my Indian diet, the breakfast. and the lunch that I eat, I'll try to get around 40 grams of protein from the foods that I'm eating. For the remaining protein to reach that 105 grams or 100 grams, you can say, I'll be using protein powder as a supplement because that is the cheapest form of protein I can get. It's easy to consume and you can do it within a budget as I'll explain. Now, when it comes to the Indian foods that I'm eating, I'll be including eggs, chicken, paneer, tofu, soya, pulses, rajma, moong, all these things which are higher in protein. So my diet will mainly consist of these. So depending on whether you're vegetarian, non-vegetarian, you can adjust accordingly. I basically eat anything veg, non-veg. So for me, it's not an issue. So a combination of all these I'll be eating every day to get my daily source of protein from the food. The remaining will come from protein supplements. So when it comes to protein powder, I'm going to be on a budget. I'm not going to become a bodybuilder or something, so I don't need this high level protein and stuff. Just regular protein powder will be sufficient for me. Now the problem with protein powder when it comes to whey protein is it can be expensive. I'm seeing like you're getting it between 1800 per kg to like 4000 per kg depending on what type you need. Also when it comes to protein powder, you need something which will give you at least 70 to 75 grams of protein per 100 gram in its weight. So that will be efficient actually. There's no point buying cheap protein powder which in 100 grams is giving you just like 50 grams or 40 grams of protein. That doesn't make sense. So that is the requirement. It should be cheaper and it should have at least 70 to 75 grams of protein per 100 gram weight. So the ones which I found which work for me are soya protein, pea protein, brown rice protein. These are very good because they are literally like 50% the cost of whey protein and they'll get the job done for me. I don't care about quality sources of protein, this and that, amino acid and all that. I don't care because I'm not going to be going into bodybuilding. I just need to be fit and build muscle. And I believe this is sufficient to do that. So naturally it will become vegan, but I found this soy protein, which I'll show you. So not sponsored or anything, but I found this one. It comes to around 850 rupees per kg. So I'm going to try this out. This is in mango flavor. So this looks like a cheap source of protein. If I go to buy whey protein from NACPRO, it comes to around 1800, 1900 per kg for the cheapest version. So I'll rather prefer this one. Now there's a hidden benefit of using protein powder. You get a concentrated amount of protein for fewer calories. So say 100 grams of protein powder will have 350 to 400 max calories. And from that you can get like 75, 80 grams of protein. Eating food, you're not going to get that. So basically you can do this on a budget. You can consume lesser calories and you can get more protein. So it's a big win situation and I highly recommend to use protein supplements. So yes, get all your main nutrition, main carbs, main proteins from your Indian food, everyday food. But it might be difficult to do this just using Indian food when you're trying to lose weight. So that's why, based on these conditions that I mentioned, lower calories and higher amount of protein, the protein powder really helps with that. Now I'm going to keep my diet really cheap, really clean, really normal. So any office going person, any normal person can follow this diet. That's my intention actually. So I'm going to be using everyday Indian food. I'm going to be cooking the food myself, not any hotel bought food. I'm going to be preparing the food myself and it's going to be simple ingredients like I mentioned, dal, pulses, rajma, chole, paneer, chicken, eggs, all these type of foods, carbs with rice, chapati, potatoes, whatever I feel like eating. So all of that cheap foods you can buy in bulk, as you know, and you can cook in bulk if you want, and it will be really cheap budget. Now I'm not a big fan of salads and stuff, so for me when it comes to snacks, I don't want any high calorie stuff. So I want to get my nutrition from the snacks. I want them to be clean. I want them to be tasty. So I'm going to settle on fruits like bananas, mangoes, whatever the seasonal fruits, watermelon. Any fruit that I like, I'm going to be eating that with my each meals to get the nutrient vitamins and get that sweet tooth satisfied. So I'm going to be using fruits. And in addition to that, I'm going to be having a lot of lemon water and maybe tea, depending on how I feel about it. So black tea, not like milky tea, just black tea, black coffee, because that is without calories. And if I want to make it sweet, I'm going to be using a sweetener. I prefer a sweetener like this, which is cheap. Again, you get a lot of pellets or powder with this. So this is like sugar-free Natura, which I use. Just one pellet is like 1 teaspoon, so it works for a long time. You get 100, 500 pellets depending on what you want. So just put them and you get it made sweet without using sugar, without having calories, and it satisfies your cravings. I already talked about the supplement that I'm going to be used when it comes to protein. So again, if I show you the cheapest that I found doing some research are this. So soy, pea, brown rice, these type of proteins appear to be cheaper than whey protein. So I would recommend if you are going for a budget, go for these. Whey will cost you double, triple. So these are cheaper. So that's about the protein supplement. Now I'm not going to become a bodybuilder and stuff. So I'm not going to look about multivitamins and stuff. All the vitamin I'm going to get from my food and from the fruits that I eat. But one multivitamin kind of I'm going to use, which I use, I prefer. It also helps with the immunity. I have it every day. It works like my multivitamin is this thing. So Chawanprash. So I have this every day as part of my daily vitamins, you could say, or to boost immunity. So that's something. It's cheap and I'll be using that every day. So I don't have pre-workouts as such, and I don't intend to spend anything on pre-workouts. But what I have, if I want to have a pre-workout or if I feel I need some energy, so what I have is the cheapest version of pre-workout, which is this coffee. So if you want a pre-workout, a really cheap pre-workout, get a packet of coffee and you're done. You don't need to spend on these hi-fi pre-workouts costing so much of money. And the last supplement that I'm going to have, this is again optional. I prefer it, is some sort of fiber. So I have this Isabgol. I like this version. You can have any cheap version of Isabgol or whatever Ayurvedic medicine or whatever you want to keep your stomach clean if you intend to do that. It's optional, but I like this. This is like orange flavor. I get it, and it has something extra in this, like muleti, ajwain, fennel, ginger, which is good for our stomach. So this is something I have. It's not related to bodybuilding or anything, but it helps keep your stomach clean, and it's always good to do that. So these are the only supplements that I'm going to be using. I'm not going to be spending too much money on it. It's going to be this budget stack of supplements that I'm going to be using when I'm losing weight and building muscle. Now let's talk about another elephant in the room, which is hunger. So when you're in a calorie deficit, you are going to feel hungry. I am going to feel hungry. I know that. I've done it in the past and I know. There is no avoiding it. You can only like manage it, and over a period of time you get used to it. So as your stomach starts shrinking as you're on a diet, and you can cope with it better. So most of the time you feel hungry because you're actually thirsty, but your body signals like you're hungry. So that's one way to avoid it. So what I'm going to be doing is drinking lots of water. This helps with hunger. Now I don't like plain water typically. So what I'll do is I'll use lemon juice. I'll put little in the water and I'll keep drinking that. So lemon juice has 0 calories and it's nutritious and it helps avoid hunger. So lemon water, black tea, whatever I can do. And if I want to make it sweet, I'll use my sweetener that I showed. So that's the plan to alleviate hunger. If I'm really, really hungry, I'm going to eat fruits. So if you can eat salad, that's the best part. If you can eat like green leafy vegetables, whatever, tomatoes, cucumber, spinach, lettuce, if you can do that, good for you. You can eat lot of that stuff and you will not feel hungry because your stomach will be full of that fiber. Personally, I don't like salad, so that's why I don't want to be eating salad. I'll be eating fruits instead. The problem with fruits is it has a little bit higher calories than salad. Salads are really low in calories. So don't put dressing on them. I'm talking about a plain salad because dressings have a lot of fat and that increases the calories. But a regular normal salad, it has hardly any calories. So you can eat a big bowl of it and be satisfied, and you'll not be gaining any, taking in any extra calories. So I'll be using fruits because I personally like fruits than vegetables. The other thing that will help me with the hunger is the protein shakes itself. So if I'm consuming say 100 grams of protein a day, I can break it down into three parts. So 30 gram in the morning, 30 gram in the afternoon, 30 gram, 40 gram in the evening. So I can use that kind of like a mini meal. So it will also fill up my stomach and avoid me getting hungry. So that's one way. And if I really feel hungry, I can have another piece of fruit. That's not a problem. Now, one thing you have to be careful of is the junk food in your house. I know we stay in like a house with family members. There'll be stuff like chips, chocolate, all those things. So, if possible, put it out. Don't get it in the house if you can. If not, if you have some family members are getting it, so keep it out of your eye range. Hide it somewhere or tell them to keep it somewhere where you cannot find it, because the problem is when you start feeling hungry and you get those cravings, then you'll start searching. And if you see a bag of chips close by, you'll just open and start eating it. That becomes a problem. So that's what I do. So I don't buy it in the first place. And if it is in the house, I'll just keep it somewhere there. I'll forget about it and won't be able to eat it when I see it. Another thing I like to avoid meals is have avoid hunger is to have large meals. So I don't like these small meals. Eat 5 6 times a day. I don't feel satiated. My stomach then doesn't feel full. I like to eat big meals so that my stomach stays full. So I'll be having one lunch, but I'll be having a large lunch, large Indian meal, so that I'm satisfied for the most part of the day with that. So even if I get hungry, it will be at the end of the day, so I can adjust with drinking water and stuff and keep myself full till I go to sleep. So another thing I can use myself, maybe it might not be there for you, is keeping a picture when I was fit. So I have a photo. So when I used to be fit in 2017, so I look decent over there. It's not like the best shape possible, but for me, considering like in which shape I was and where I reached in 2017, I was in pretty good shape. So I look at that photo and then I feel motivated that I need to continue this diet that I'm on. So if I feel hungry, that's one way. If I look at a photo, it gives me that drive that I should avoid this hunger or try to move ahead and try to control this hunger and then continue with my diet. Now here's the secret weapon that I use called a refeed day. So this helps me keep losing weight. It avoids my body getting stuck in a plateau. It helps me keep losing weight. It keeps me sane as I'm on a diet and losing weight. And it helps me enjoy the foods that I like. So what it means by refeed day. So refeed day, for example, I keep it as a Sunday. So on Sunday, I eat my maintenance calories and I can eat whatever I want. I don't need to eat home cooked food. I can eat restaurant food. I can go to if I go to any social event, I can eat that food. So it doesn't matter. I can eat any food. It's not necessary that I need to maintain my protein also. I'll try to maintain it for the day, like 105 gram, whatever I need, but it's not necessary. It's not like compulsory. The good thing is I'm not going to become a bodybuilder or something. I don't need to be super strict like that. That's why I can use this refeed day. The benefit is you can avoid cravings, because if I am craving, say, ice cream, chocolate, cake, whatever it is, sweets, so I can eat it on that day, no problem. The other thing is it kind of resets your body. So your body is going on this calorie deficit, starving mode for like 6 days of the week. So on the seventh day, what you can do is I can refeed it. So it again the body resets, and from Monday it can again start losing the weight. So that also is a benefit of that. Also psychologically it helps because I can eat any food that I want. So the for the week it's much easier for me to maintain the diet and the calorie deficit, because I know on Sunday I can eat whatever I want. So it's not like I have to not eat for 3 months or 90 days or 6 months. What I'm following, I cannot eat any of this food, which will be a big like psychological stress. So that is avoided when you have a refeed day. But you have to be careful, and I have to be careful not to go overboard on this. So I'm talking about maintenance calories. You don't mean that Sundays come so you can eat like 5 meals and you can eat all different type of restaurant meals in a day. So not like that. You can have 2 to 3 meals a day. That's fine on Sunday, and you can include then normal eating, normal portions in that. Whatever you eat regularly, that portions you can include and eat anything in that. So that should be fine. Another advantage I get of using a refeed day is I could use it flexibly throughout the week itself. So I set it on Sunday, but suppose I know in the future that okay, there's a function. Suppose there's a wedding I need to attend, marriage I need to attend next week, or there is some birthday I need to attend next week. So based on that, I can set that day as the refeed day. So I don't need to worry about what I eat. I'm going to a marriage or going to somebody's birthday, and then I'm saying, okay, I'm going to only eat the salad. I'm not going to eat paneer, whatever it is. So I don't need to restrict myself and become inconvenient to myself and others on that day. So typically I'll set that refeed day on that day, and then I can enjoy myself, eat whatever I want to when I go to that function. Now diet is very important when you want to lose weight. Now if I want to lose 10 kg of weight, calorie deficit, like I mentioned, is the most important thing. But if I just use calorie deficit, I will lose weight, yes, but I will become thin and skinny. So I don't want to do that. What I want to do is be fit and healthy as well. And to do that, I need to build muscle. So check my next video where I show the exact strategy I'm going to follow to build muscle. I'm not going to be going to the gym. I'm not going to be using any expensive equipment. I'm going to do everything in a budget for a normal Indian person. And I'm going to be using minimal time to do this. I'm not going to be spending hours and hours like a bodybuilder. And doing this still, I'm going to be getting a fit and healthy body. So check the next video where I'm going to be sharing all of my strategies for workouts, what I'm going to be doing and what all things I'm going to be using to do this in the next video.